Hey folks, since last time I've been looking into adding text boxes to the intro and I've made some great progress. As usual, I started by comparing the scripts from the disc version with the discs from the CD intro. And I could see the calls line up for the most part. You can see this scene 3 script here compared with here. This is a script. This one is an audio script. We'll come back to what that means a little bit later. So for the most part, you can see where things line up, like the G ego, which is your character, where its configuration is, and it's defined here as well. There's a wait for Q on the audio side. We'll also come back to what that means later. But then here, there's this print for the text box, and it is missing on this side. So my thought was, okay, let's start adding the corresponding calls to add the print box, the text box, on the CD intro scripts. So that's what I started to do. This is the modified version. I keep unmodified here versions here as well, but in the modified version, you can see I have calls to print for audio. I also added this class say timer. I used a print for audio initially, but it wasn't timed quite correctly. It would appear too early. So the say timer basically just puts in a delay of 150 ticks. A tick is a 60th of a second, and then prints it out. That seemed to be much more accurate with when the words are actually said. The way that the audio is structured in the intro on the CD side is for each CD intro script, there is one audio file, one audio resource that is played throughout, and that has the music and the voices all sort of embedded within the same audio track. And then as we switch to a different intro scene, a different room, it plays a different resource. So I proceeded to do this for the other CD intro scripts up until the last two, CD intro 9 and 10, and I'll get into why I started to change my direction with these. So while on the surface this approach seemed to make sense, one of the consequences of doing it this way is that I'd have to be patching nearly every intro script. So you can kind of see here there's about 9 intro scripts that would all require changes. There's, I think, only like 1 or 2 that don't. CD intro 2 is when, in the early stage, when Graham is walking through the woods and it shows some credits. That doesn't have any text boxes. But nearly all the other ones do. So it started to seem like things were getting out of hand. I really wanted to limit the amount of script patches that we would have to apply, because the more patches that we apply, the more I'm covering all the logic within the game scripts. So I started to think it would be nice if I could have a parallel script in a separate module that would also operate like this audio script. So if I could understand how this audio script gets kicked off, and then I could create my own audio script and leverage all the cues to call the appropriate places and print and have my own print statements centralized in a separate text module. So I took a look at these sync resources. This, if you can see here, this is this aligns with the audio resource. This is the audio resource that is playing. This sync resource, same number, loads in all the cues. So as you can see, this tick is how many 60ths of the second that it's into the audio file, and then this cue here is in hexadecimal. And that correlates to these cues here in decimals. So, for example, if I pull up a number here, you can see this in decimal this 17924 correlates to hex 4604, and that's here. That's the first Q. And then this continues later on for all the other Qs. So, oops, that's in hex. I wanted it in decimal, and then this is 4654, which is here. So it doesn't do all the Qs. It doesn't need to do all the Qs for all the actions that it does, but this is how it aligns the actions, the animations, with the audio. Is that it waits for that Q in the sync file, and then it performs the animations such as setting up the view for the owl, flapping the owl's wings, moving your character, and so on. So I wanted to take a look and understand, okay, well, how does the audio script work? How can I create my own audio script and have it injected? The audio script is, let's see, here we go. The audio script here you can see is also of type script. It extends that. It just adds this wait for Q property, and it extends do it. And do it just checks to see if the Q property has been reached. But there's no looping, and that was something I was surprised to see. I expected there to be some sort of looping or something going on, so it must have been happening at a higher level. I tried creating my own audio script, so this was this text mod here. That's also where I put the say timer, and you can see this is what I expected it to look like, and this looked a lot cleaner. I just had a cue, and then that followed with the audio. Cue follows with the audio as the state progresses, and after the last audio, it cleans up the object. This is would be what I have I call it a print script, but it just extends an audio script, and I expected that to just work. Of course, it didn't. Audio script is tied into its parent because it's a script object. The way that they call each other is when you inject a script object, it has to have a parent script, which has a parent room. That parent room might have go all the way on up to something which invokes it. So in order to understand where that was coming from, I went back to the CD Intro 9 script, and I added a dummy line here. Do audio doesn't take strings as parameters. So I knew this would crash the game. That's what I wanted it to do. And I wanted us to get a stack trace to see where exactly this change state is called. So that's what I did. And I got this out of it, this call stack. So I saw here, this is my change state, which is called by Q, which is called by script do it, and so on up, CD Intro 9. CD Intro 9 is the parent. It owns the script. It gets injected with this set script, and it also tells when you call set script, it tells the script what its parent is. There's a client object that gets injected. But CD Intro 9 is not a script. It's a room, and a room is a type of region. And then here, it's looping through all the regions, doing this each element do, and then calls this game do it, and then KQ5 do it. And up here, this is where the looping logic actually takes place. This is your main game loop. So I drilled into what all of that looked like and tried to find, okay, well, where can I inject my stuff, my audio script? And you can see here, this is the regions. This is the game class, I believe, right? Yeah, this is the game class. And this is where it's looping through the regions, each element do. That was what we saw on the stack trace. I don't have a region, so it didn't make sense for me to inject it here. But it does I do have the do-its, which is a kind of a funny name, but I wanted to see where else this is called, where else it's actually used. So I did some investigation to see where it's actually being used, and there are multiple places like the feature class, pseudo mouse class, and things like that, where it is adding itself and then removing itself, cleaning itself up. So I said, great, I can do the same thing. So let me pull up my text mod script here. And I have the print script is of type audio script, and it also does an init and dispose, where it adds itself to the doits, disposes from the doits. This has a run method that gets called from the main, it passes in a resource, and then it switches that resource to call the appropriate object instance that has all the actual scripting involved. The main here, this previously did nothing. It calls this print script class with passing in the resource here. So rather than printing a single line for the audio resource, it goes and starts a script for that audio resource and kicks it off. So this worked, and it gave me what I needed for running everything. In fact, actually, once I was able to identify all the appropriate queue numbers, this actually aligned a lot better than what I was doing in CD Intro 9. I ended up commenting all this stuff out, and there were a lot of places where I was using saytimer. I was using saytimer kind of all over the place because it didn't align properly, and because the alignment, now I had the right cues in the right places, I didn't need that. So this was actually a lot cleaner. So this worked until I got to CD Intro 10. CD Intro 10 has a lot of lines. It has actually, I only went up to 20 here as I was copying and pasting stuff, but then I had probably double the amount of stuff that was here. There was like maybe about 25, 30 lines of text. And it felt really mundane for me to be copying, pasting stuff, and copying, pasting stuff like this is usually an indication that, hey, we can automate something here. There's a better way to do this. So I took inspiration from the way that the views and audio information was defined back with the Baker scene, and added arrays like this. There's a count of the number of entries in the array, and then all the entries, it has the queue and corresponding resource to print. And then I added a comment for what was actually getting printed. This ended up, in this case, I had a custom or a general purpose method that it computes the index from the state number. And in the past, I had struggled with dealing with array pointers. It turns out the word at kernel function actually extracts an element from an array pointer. So great. I had a way to do this now that I didn't before. That was something that I learned going through all the talker objects. And it adds this, it saves next resource, so that way next time the state changes, it prints out that resource. I also needed the ability to clear the screen, so if the resource is 0, because sometimes the text box hangs around longer than you need it to. For example, at this point, Crispin walks around the room after saying this, and we want to clear it for a while, and hangs out for, or it's cleared for a few seconds now before it prints the next line. So this is where I ended up. This worked great. And this is the way I expect to go for the other CD intros now. I'm going to end up undoing all the work that I did and restructure it this way, just because it's so much cleaner, and I don't have to rely on saytimer for anything anymore. I can just have the queue mapping. So my next steps really, now that I have this text mod, I'm going to pull all that logic out, like I said, out of the other CD intro scripts. I'm going to also refactor all of the new functions from main and interface that I had been making into here. I can also take those lyric scripts that I pulled, that I added for the ants and the willow tree, and put them here as well. This is the perfect place for all of that stuff here, since these are now just print scripts. They don't have queues in the same way, so I would still need timers for those, but it doesn't matter. I can still centralize it and call it the same way, and I think that works a lot better. I also don't need to change main's public exports. That's something that I had been doing as I added more of these functions, and I didn't really like that. So these were new entries that I had added. Now I can just put all of these into TextMod and import TextMod in the appropriate places where I need those. In fact, actually, for the most part, I may not need them. And I think like do audio with text, for example, I was calling from, I think was that with the lyrics? I don't remember exactly. I might be able to clear this up, but I may not even need to export them from TextMod, I think is what I'm saying. So I'll see as I go through this. I think this will just end up being a lot cleaner. The next step also after all that refactoring is I want to reproduce this process for the outro. The kind of the cool thing about this is for the intro is that I don't have to go through the whole intro sequence each time to get to each scene that I want. The script number for the first intro is 650. So for example, if I go here to CD intro script, you see this is script number 650. So here I've overwritten it. I went to straight to script 659, which that is actually CD intro 10. So I go straight into Crispin's house without having to go through the whole sequence before, so I can test this out by itself and not have to just wait 10 minutes for the whole intro to complete. I'm hoping to do the same thing for the outro. I'm hoping that as a shortcut, I can just put the script number for the outro here and launch it as if it were the intro. So I don't have to play the game again. That would just save me a lot of time until I'm ready to actually test the whole thing from beginning to end again. Anyway, that's pretty much all. Thanks for watching. Please, if you like this content, like and subscribe. And I'm going to be doing a demo of the intro after this, so please stick around for the demo.
My castle? What has happened?
Ooh, I can tell you what happened.
What?
Ooh, I know what happened to your castle. I saw it all. Yes, I did.
You did? Well then, what happened?
Ooh, it was the powerful and evil wizard Mordak who did it. Ooh, I just happened to be visiting with an old friend when I saw him materialize out of thin air. Thank goodness he didn't notice me.
Well, don't stop now. Go on.
He conjured up a terrible whirlwind that swirled faster and faster around the castle. With another incantation, Mordak then caused the wind to draw the castle up into the sky and out of sight. Ooh, it was something to see, all right.
Why? Why would this wizard, Mordak, want my castle? What could he have against me and my family?
That I don't know. Ooh, I only know that it was Mordak who took your castle and your family. Well, perhaps I can help you. My employer also happens to be a wizard, which is why I recognized Mordak. Ooh, unlike Mordak, though, my employer is a very good wizard. His name is Crispin Arthur, but we all call him Crispin for short. The only problem is, you see... Woo-hoo-hoo! Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. The only problem is that Crispin is getting on in years and tends to be a bit forgetful.
I don't know. This doesn't sound as if it would work.
Oh, sure it would. Crispin is a very qualified wizard, one of the best. He just gets a little forgetful now and again, that's all. Now, where is it? Oh, I know I brought it with me. Aha! Here it is.
What is that?
Well, It is my opinion that you don't stand a chance against the likes of Mordak. Ooh, excuse me for saying, Your Majesty, but you don't have a choice. You must come with me. I'm sure Crispin can help you.
What is that stuff?
Ooh, just some old leftover fairy dust I've been carrying around. Ooh, it'll help you to fly. You can follow me to the land of Serenia, where Crispin and I live. It's much too far to walk, you know. Ooh, I think the fairy dust is still good. Come on, up here! Follow me! There it is, down here! Come on!
Okay, here I come.
Ooh, looks like the fairy dust just wore off.
Cedric? Where have you been? I've been calling for you. Well, well, what have we here? A bit clumsy, are you? Well, come on in the house and dry off. No sense sitting around like a wet dog. Cedric, go into the house and pour each of us a nice hot cup of tea.
Ooh, aye aye, Crispin.
The Society of Wizards has always taken a dim view of Mordak and his abuse of his power. Why, he's even been put on suspension a few times. It never seems to do any good, though.
Crispin, why would Mordak want to take my family or castle? What did we ever do to him?
I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that. Mordak is a very unpredictable wizard. I've never understood that evil mind of his.
Ooh, I thought perhaps you could help His Majesty, Crispin. That's why I brought him here.
Well, let me see now. I used to be a very powerful wizard at one time, you know, but I've gotten a little rusty lately.
A little rusty.
That's quite enough from you, Cedric.
Ooh, yes, sir, Crispin, sir.
I don't know what I have that would be of much use to you. Most of my wizard stuff is pretty old and worn out. But let's see what I can find. That won't do. That's all used up. It might work. Here, eat this.
What is that?
That's an old piece of magical white snake I had left over from last year. With it, you'll be able to communicate with the natural and animal world. You should find that quite helpful. Here's my old wand. I don't even know if it works anymore. Most of its power may be gone. You should know that wands are like pets. They've got to get to know you before they'll work for you. Just treat it with care and respect, and hopefully it will do something for you. You'd better get going, my boy. No telling what that confounded Morlock could be up to. You go with him, Cedric. Show him the way.
Oh,
Yes, you. Don't be such a coward. Now go on. You'd better get started.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate all you've done for me.
I suggest we visit the town first. How about it, Your Majesty?
Please don't call me Your Majesty, Cedric. It's much too formal. I'd like it if you'd just call me Graham.
I'd be delighted to, Graham. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yes, the town. You might be able to find some supplies there. It's just over a little hill to the south, not too far.
Well then, let's be on our way, Cedric.